Salut. Ça va? Santé.
Coucou, bienvenue from Paris. Today we have a special series called Another Way to Live. We are having conversations from Paris where I'll be exploring how living here shapes the way our guests think about life, work, relationships, and what really matters. So these conversations aren't about defining a quote unquote right way to live, but really noticing what feels different and what that might open up for you as a listener. So I'm very excited today. I have Oliver G here. He is from Australia originally, but now has lived in Paris a very long time. His wife is from Sweden, and their two young, beautiful children. So he is actually, I'm very honored to have him here because he is the creator of the Earful Tower. I'm sure a lot of you listening have heard of the Earful Tower. It is one of the most established English language podcasts about Paris. In fact, I'm quoting for you. The New York Times said it was one of the most transportive podcasts, and with 4 million podcast downloads. So you're probably higher than that today. So super
4 million and one.
Oh, 4 million and one. Thank you. So very impressive and very excited to have you. You've expanded to videos, books, walking tours, and I also have loved the Earful Tower everywhere. Super
Cool.
In
Thank
Italy,
you.
I saw your latest. So he's known for storytelling, cultural insights, and making Paris, I would say, feel both romantic but real, like show behind the scenes, show the real Paris. And what I've loved about Oliver's approach, before I started this podcast, I had heard of his podcast, and I just thought it was a very cool, unique ability to blend storytelling, history, local Paris observations and stories. And so I've been listening to your podcast for a while, and I'm just so delighted and honored to have you here. So
What an
Thank you.
introduction. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little, for people that don't know you, tell us a little bit about your life, your background.
Well, yeah. So I think I moved to Paris in 2015.
Okay.
I was living in Sweden before that, and I was working as a journalist there.
In Sweden. Okay.
Yes, in Stockholm. And then there was an opportunity to work in their office in Paris to do France's news in English.
Oh, cool.
It was very serious. I did all the interviews, and I told them I spoke really good French, which I didn't. I can't believe. I thought I did.
You knew French before you
I'd learned, but I had learned it in school and university.
Okay.
But honestly, it turned out with every Swedish word I learned, a French word went out.
Oh, I know the feeling. I did it with Spanish.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
And they're similar. Yeah, sweet. Yeah. So I arrived here and I was like, oh, wow, no, I don't. Which it's funny now, but when I moved here, I came here early because there was the Charlie Hebdo terror attacks. And they're like, oh, can you actually get on the next plane? Wow. And I came down, I had to go interview people. And I was like, oh man, I think a lot of people that move to Paris, maybe they come here certainly under nicer circumstances, and they're tasting croissants and sitting on terraces and so on. And I was like interviewing people about horrible things. That whole year 2015 was horrible.
You were doing these in French?
Sometimes. Well, not really. I kind of, it was all traumatic anyway, but then that, like,
add that on.
phoning people in French in front of colleagues who were like listening to about things like that. Whereas in Sweden, the news there is like a moose walked into a high school in the Arctic Circle, called the headmaster, who speaks English, by the way. But yeah, so it's a big baptism by fire. So I came here, and then after 2 years of doing that, I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I started a little radio channel that was the Earful Tower. But it sort of grew, and the guy that ran the radio station was like, you should do a podcast. And I was like, what's a podcast? Honestly, this is 10 years ago.
This is 10 years ago. Okay,
this is the 10th year, right?
This is your 10th year podcast. You have 400 something.
Well, I thought I had 400 something. And I was like, I better do something for the 500. And then I realized that sailed past it a while ago. So it's more than 500. That shows how I don't really keep an eye on the stats as much as I used to anyway. But yeah, so it's sort of, it was fortunate. It just grew, and it was probably because it was one of the first.
Yeah, but also like interesting and.
Thank you, Adam. I taught podcasting at the American University for a little bit.
You did?
Yeah, they invited me. They wanted to do like new media, and I'll probably forget this now, but I came up with this idea that was like a podcast should be at least one of, this is so irrelevant to what we're talking about.
It might not be, but
okay.
Go on.
But a podcast should be at least one of the following three things, right? Entertaining.
Yes.
So like a stand-up comedy podcast.
Yep.
Bingo, easy. Interesting.
Yes.
Right? So like let's say a chess podcast could be interesting. Or maybe the chess one is more the third one, which is informative. That's a chess podcast. Interesting. What I like talking about, what you're doing sounds quite interesting. You know, talking to people, moving here, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
People could listen to it. But I always said, if you could do all three, like, that's the golden triangle for me, you know?
So funny. I say the same thing about brand marketing. If you're going to market a brand, it needs to be inspiring, entertaining, informative, or interesting.
We're not so different after all. Yeah. What was the first one? Inspiring.
Inspiring is the other word I would add in.
You had more of a square and I had a triangle.
True.
But what I said is, and so with my podcast, I like if I interview a stand-up comedian, which maybe they can do the entertaining part.
Right.
I might be asking them about cool places that they like to go in Paris, which could be informative, or how they ended up there, which could be interesting.
Yeah.
And then if you interview a real serious person, maybe I'll put on my entertaining shoes and try and make it entertaining. So anyway, that's
Well, I'm curious what you'll do today based on my energy.
who knows? But then, so like you said, on top of all that, the podcast I did walking tours and children's books.
Yes.
So my hands are full all the time, and I love it that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what inspired you to start the Earful Tower? Like the name, by the way, is awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Well, we had an intern at the news site, and he was like, I think he was also interning at the radio station. And he's like, do you want to do radio just for free? Yeah. And I was like, I'd love to do that. Yeah. And he's like, I was thinking you could do a news show. And I was like, I'll only do it if it's not the news. Oh. I'll do anything that's not news because I'm sick of doing the news. Yeah. Okay. And I don't know, I had the first 10 guests I had were sensational gets.
Fun.
Like amazing, really, in all different ways. Some just really popular people or great guests or whatever. And I don't know, there was a moment, I remember the moment, is I was at a coffee shop that I used to go to, and this Australian guy who was sitting behind me heard me ordering, and he recognized my voice, and he came up and he goes, "You're Oliver G from the Earful Tower podcast." I was like, "Yeah." I couldn't believe it, right? And then he said to his friends, he's like, "This is the guy I recognize." And he was I ended up becoming friends with this guy. But then I went and sat out the front of the cafe with my wife and a friend. I was like, "Wow, that was kind of cool." Yeah. And as we're sitting there was this American woman on the street. Okay. And she saw me from across the road. And this is the first time I was ever recognized from this podcast. And she goes, "Oh my God." She's like, "You're Oliver G." She's like, maybe she's listening up. And she goes like, "Everything I'm doing in Paris is based on what you recommended." And
so cool.
And I sat there, I was like, there's something in this. Maybe I could make this into a job.
For sure.
And almost instantly and stupidly, I quit the journalist job. And I was like, I'm focusing 100% on the podcast to see if I can make it. Yeah.
So that's a big risk.
It was stupid. Yeah. It was totally crazy.
Stupid, looking back?
I wouldn't advise anyone to ever do it.
Would not advise.
But I didn't have children.
Okay. Would you have made the same decision today?
If I did it, well, things are so different now. Yeah. In not just the climate of it all, but even I'm way more established. So if I want to try something different, I could try and do like a little consulting on the side or teaching or something or walking tour. I could do I got other options. Yeah. But then I didn't have anything. Yeah. So I was like, if I struggle, I'll do freelance journalism for anyone that'll have me. But I was like, I looked up what the minimum wage was in France. Okay. And I just said, that's my goal.
What was it?
It was something like 1,200 euros a month or something. Yeah. And I started a membership thing and I was like, I just want to get, so when people would email me and be like, "I love your show," I'd say, well, here's the link to be a member.
Great.
Put your money where your mouth is. I was a bit over the top type, I'd say. Now I'm way different. Now I'm like, oh, thank you. But then I had to hustle.
So you hustled?
Yeah, I really hustled, yeah. And then when it got to minimum wage, I was like, well, here we are. I'm going to do this.
And then were you like, I'm going all in? Like
I was already way all in at that point.
All in. Okay.
And then from there, I was just like, well, how can I grow it so that I'm not on minimum wage anymore? Yeah. And now it's, like you said, it's established. It's an established thing.
Yeah, it's so cool.
People recognize my voice again. It's weird. People stop me in the streets.
So people stop you on the street?
Yeah.
So you're like a local celebrity in Paris.
In the very small niches, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty awesome.
When I go to touristy places, like if I'm at I don't know, like when my family comes to visit, it's funny, and we go to like a famous museum or something, that's when I'm going to get recognized more often. And it's great because my family's with me and they think I'm cool, you know? And sometimes when I do walking tours, which I don't do that many, I usually do one a week. Yeah. But sometimes maybe they know I'm doing that tour and they come and find me on the circuit sort of. And then they come up and they're like, "Oh, you're Oliver G." And then I look cool to the people on my tour.
Totally.
Yeah. So it doesn't happen that often, but it happens.
I got my first one in Aix-en-Provence. Yeah. I was at actually a cafe I recommended. And this woman was like, she was like nervous. Yeah. And I'm like, what? I'm just like a normal person here with my family.
Not
like,
anymore.
having such a crunch.
Yeah.
And she was like, I just really like it. And I'm following you on Instagram. I was like, great,
That's
like
so
nice
cool.
to meet you. And then you don't really know where to go from there. It's just like, okay.
I can tell you a good thing. I bumped into Rick Steves in Norway.
Oh yeah, and you just
Did you see this?
Yes.
So I chatted to him. He's really nice, and we back and forth a bit. And we're in the similar game, me and him, podcasting and travel and stuff. And then at the end of our encounter, I said, "Oh, can I have a picture with you?"
Yeah.
And so this is what I started doing, and what you could do is he goes, "Yeah, we can do a picture if I can take it." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, sure."
Sure.
I was like, "Weird, but whatever."
Yeah.
And he took my camera, took the picture, and handed it back to me. And it was very clear the transaction was over. It was like one and done. There was no, because sometimes
like WhatsApp. No,
yeah. Oh, but not even if I took it.
Yeah.
I might be like, oh, it's kind of blinky. Can we do it again? And he doesn't want to do it again. So it was really clear. Here's the pic.
That was it.
Get out of my face, but in a nice way. And since I sometimes do that, it's like, you want a picture? Boom. That's so. If you had done that.
I should have done that.
But except the risk is that she might have said, I don't want a picture with you. And then you go, oh.
And then how awkward.
Yeah, that would be really awkward.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna keep it as
neither of us at Rick Steve's level. But if you sense they want a picture, it's a good way to do it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you a few questions about Paris because you have become a Paris expert. So we're coming up on summer travel season.
Yeah.
Lots of listeners are going to be making a trip to Paris. What would you recommend that episodes either that you've done that you would be like, you have to listen to these?
Recommend my own episodes?
You can recommend your own episodes that you're like, you should listen to these 3 episodes.
Oh boy.
I know that's a hard question, but or we can put it in the show notes for after.
No. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, there's one thing I like for me with Paris, because I've been exploring it in depth, sometimes literally in depth, like, catacombs or whatever,
Yeah, you're like going deep.
Yeah. But sometimes I go too niche, which some of the audience loves.
Okay.
The real Paris fans. Yeah. And it's just too niche for people who are coming for the first time this summer. They're like, I don't care about... A great example is I found a limestone arch underground somewhere that used to be where an extinct river ran through this old city wall. And for me, there were these two things, this marriage of two ancient things I loved. And someone took a picture of me down there standing in front of it, looking all excited. And as I shared it, I remember thinking like, it's so far from like popular Instagram Paris. It's way too far. And some people love it, and that's cool.
Totally.
But if you're scrolling through looking for inspiration, you're not going to go there.
No, you're probably not.
So basically, I say to people sometimes, your first trip to Paris, just go and tick off all the things you want.
Yep. Okay.
When the second trip comes around, that's when we can talk.
I love that. Yeah.
So what I'd recommend is once I did a series of episodes where I literally did an episode for your first trip to Paris.
Okay, great.
And it was very basic. Yeah. It was like, take the taxi and from the Charles de Gaulle.
Yep.
Don't mess around with the trains. Don't get scammed. It's very, very basic. Yep. And then go to the Eiffel Tower, go and do this, the other. Enjoy it. Next week, we do the second trip to Paris. And the second trip was like, okay, you've been to the Louvre already. Yep. Now it's time to go to the Musée d'Orsay or whatever. Okay, you've been to that park. Let's go to this more local park. And I did at least 3. Okay. And I did like blog posts for at least 5. Yeah. And by the 5th one, it gets really a lot of curiosities because you assume they're not going to go back to the places you've already mentioned. And so then, like, if you were to draw a diagram of what your recommendations of the thing would be, mine and someone else's, like, they just eventually, after the first one, they really start spreading. And I think that's a really nice place to start. And what was cool about it from my perspective of making them was people who knew Paris really well could still get something out of those early ones. And people who didn't know Paris at all could get some inspiration for the 5th trip anyway, you know? So I might give them a polish, especially as things have changed. Notre Dame's reopened.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I think people now on a lot of the listeners have said, I've been to Paris a lot, but I want to now actually experience Paris. And because I do think, even me, this is probably my 15th time in Paris, and I still there's just so much that you can uncover. And and I mean, I honestly, because I don't live here, I'm a tourist, and so. But now I'm like, I want to go beyond, but I don't want to cram too much in. Yeah. Like my whole thing now is, so I'm here on a solo trip. You know, you have a wife and kids. It's very rare that we ever get moments to ourselves that we're just completely. And so I'm like in a place of like, I want to find a cool place and sit and write and read and just feel the energy of what I would say is like the quieter. And I don't mean like noise level quiet.
Yeah, no, I
but
get you.
the-
Well, I think,
just
I get what you
real
mean.
Paris,
Like like you're beyond sort of taking off the checklist stuff,
Yeah.
and you want to,
Yeah.
and you want to feel the city. Well, I say that to people, even on your first trip. I'm like, let's say you're coming for 5 days.
Yeah.
Leave at the very least, one afternoon with no plans.
I love that.
No, I would say more.
I
Do
would
do
say
at least a
more,
day. But for
right?
the first trip, okay, yeah, go line up. You spend all your time lining up. And you need to do that.
Yeah, you do.
You have to go do that stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you go home after your first trip and they'll be like, what'd you think of the Mona Lisa? And if you go, I didn't go to the Louvre, I sat in a cafe, they'll be like, well, you could have done that here in Seattle or whatever. And you're like, yeah, I could have actually, you know? Of course
yeah,
not.
I
I'm
mean,
exaggerating.
it's
I'm
not the
exaggerating.
same, but yeah,
I'm
I get
exaggerating.
your point.
But yeah, the amount of things I've found or people I've met or podcast episodes that I've stumbled onto recording by being in the moment, talking to someone apart. One of my most sort of the episode with the longest tail, which is a pun that'll become evident in a sec, is about this woman I started speaking to on a bench randomly in the Canal Saint-Martin area. Yeah. And she revealed that she'd released crocodiles into the canal at one point. And I was like, it was the best story of all. They turned into our first children's book that we did.
Oh, that's what.
And it started there just by talking to her in an area of Paris. So like, you never know who you'll bump into on a park bench even.
So interesting.
Right? Yeah.
That happened to me last night at Septime.
Crocodile as well?
Not the crocodile.
Okay, right.
Just a woman who was French, who had her own podcast in French about children and helping them with ADHD.
Really?
Out of nowhere. I mean, and Septime's a tiny wine bar.
Yeah, yeah.
And just by chance, and we spoke French for the next 3 hours together.
Really?
I mean, so cool.
Good for you. Your French must be pretty
Oh, no,
good.
my French is...
That was the wine. Yeah. You were probably speaking English.
I said we both kept maybe ordering extra. Their orange wine there is fantastic.
Or you were speaking English the whole time, but you didn't realize. Could be
completely blacked out. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but there's so much that, like we said, the people, the places, the parks, the cafes. There's, even if you want to get into like the history side of it, you go around, you see a building, the Musée d'Orsay, right? There used to be a train station.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a story that you can't even really, but you can go and see it. You can go and appreciate it. Maybe you're watching or listening now and you've been to the Musée d'Orsay and you didn't know that. Now you can go look at your pictures again and go, oh yeah, it looks like a train station. Yeah, you know, there's layers to it.
So cool.
That are still visible.
Yeah, I love
Not just back 50 years like that one.
Yeah.
But back 2000, more than 2000, yeah. Isn't that cool?
It's so cool.
That's why people often ask me, like, how do you keep, my mother-in-law asks me all the time, she's like, how do you keep finding things to talk about? And I'm like, I could sit down and write the next 500 episodes right now on a piece of paper.
For real?
Yeah, because like I could interview you about what you're doing. Yeah. Then I could interview you about Aix-en-Provence.
Yeah.
I could interview you about how it's been 5 years since we last talked about Aix-en-Provence. What's changed?
True.
You know what I mean? So like, that's just right here, right now.
See, I think you're just really good at like quick angles.
Maybe it's my strength.
It must be your strength. See, look what you've uncovered.
Lucky I found
today.
it.
Lucky you finally uncovered it.
Gosh, thank goodness I'm not a journalist anymore. I don't think that was my strength. Yeah.
So, okay, a lot of our listeners also have children and they come to Paris and they're like, what do we do with the kids? Because Paris can be a lot, especially as a tourist coming to visit with children. Yeah. And I think a lot of people actually are like, maybe I shouldn't even bring my kids to Paris. And I'm like, no, I think you should definitely bring your kids. But tell me a little, because you have your two children.
Basically a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old.
2-year-old, right? So what do they love besides like candy stores and toy stores?
I mean,
I know that my kids...
I think the city's really good for children. Yeah. To be honest, I think first, my children get excited to see the Eiffel Tower, both of them, from different views. So cool. Like they'll be like, my 2-year-old thinks that any spire or crane is the Eiffel Tower as well. So she's excited all the time. She goes, Eiffel Tower, Daddy.
Yeah,
so I mean, just for a 2-year-old, you're set, right? Totally. But for the amount of cool museums that are absolutely not on the list of Louvre list, you know, which Louvre is big and overwhelming and maybe not great for kids. Maybe is, but I don't know. But like random example, there's the Musée de la Chasse et de la Nature, which is full of
never been.
Well, it sounds weird, but it's like a hunting museum. Wow. But it's like they got like a polar bear, a taxidermied polar bear, and things like this. And it's in this beautiful little sort of aristocratic mansion from once upon a time.
Cool.
Just that.
Yeah.
A 5-year-old is gonna
For sure.
Yeah.
They'll remember that more than
Yeah,
ours.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, no, you never know. You do a trip to Paris with your 5-year-old and you come back and be like, what do you remember the best? And they'll say the guy that spat his chewing gum at my feet. And you'll be like, that? You know?
It's actually so true.
Yeah.
Or they'll tell the parents like, oh no, they took me to where dead animals were hung.
Yeah, that's true.
Know? It's like, oh, really? In Paris?
Yeah. But there's a lot of, taking a boat on the Seine is amazing.
Lovely. Yeah.
But just walking around and seeking maybe I live in the 12th, which is a really very family friendly neighborhood.
Yeah, close to here, right?
Yeah, really close. And there's a really great park around the corner where even if you don't speak a word of French and you have children, you throw them in that park.
Oh,
they're going to love it. And the parents all sort of talking to each other.
Yeah.
And then conversely, the areas like the Marais, or Montmartre, which can be quite built up and maybe don't seem very child friendly.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not. It depends on your kid as well.
Right, totally.
Like there's that book, French Children Don't Throw Food, or Bringing Up Baby, it's called as well.
Bringing Up Baby, yeah.
I don't know, maybe kids in America, where Pamela Druckerman's from, maybe they're different over there and they would struggle with Paris. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
but
interesting.
Here the kids, there are a lot of kids. This is a city with a lot of families and they're all surviving and thriving.
Yeah. No, it's true. My kids love Paris. In fact, I was leaving and my daughter, she was hugging me out the door and she was, I want to go to Paris with you this trip. They just get really excited to your point of they actually, in the 11th, there's this little class where you can build. So there's I can't remember the name of the blocks, but I'll put it in the show notes, but you can drop them there for up to 3 hours and they just learn how to build different things. It's super cool.
Yeah.
There's lots of little stuff like that I love doing with the kids because it honestly, I try to find things in Paris that don't exist in Aix-en-Provence because it's small, right? Where I live. And so I need some of what a big city can provide, especially having lived in San Francisco with the kids. It's that energy for me is something I personally miss. Yeah. But then I want my kids to understand that too. And
I think I did a story once that was something like 12 things to do with your children. And I'll see if I find I'll link it to. But also there's things that I don't think are on people's radar, like the Atelier de Lumière. Do you know that?
Oh, yes.
That's around the corner from.
Yes, I've been there with the kids.
That's cool. But there's also one of them in Provence as well.
There is. It travels though.
Does it?
It's rotating.
Yeah. Okay. But like that, I don't think the typical visitor here even knows what that is. And the name of it, the Atelier de Lumière, you'd skim over it. But I've taken my kids there.
Super cool.
We went to a dinosaur thing there.
Oh, I didn't see the dinosaur one.
20-foot tall. See, I did feet for you as an American.
Thank you.
A 20-foot tall T-Rex. I just made it up. I don't know what 20 is. But what a cool thing to see,
really cool,
it was amazing.
No, it's so true.
But things,
someone else told me about ColourPop.
I don't even know what that is.
I know. Someone sent me a link. They were in Paris.
ColourPop.
Yeah, it's like this. Yeah. You know what it is? They allow kids, they put smocks on them, fully dressed, and they let them paint all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, your kids will love that.
Yeah. I think there's endless things.
There's endless things.
I'm a big fan, because I work from home and I've got a pretty flexible schedule. Weirdly, big fan of going on the excursions with the kids from school. I volunteer as a follow along. I bet I've done it more than definitely have done it more than any other dad.
Explain what that means.
A sortie.
A sortie.
Yeah.
Oh, the field trips.
Yeah, field trips.
Okay.
There you go. Okay. So, but here it's probably quite different. But you might maybe see them in Paris. Maybe it's the same in Aix-en-Provence, but they've got little yellow high-vis vests.
No, they don't have this in Aix.
It's a big deal. So they take 20 kids. The most recent one I went to is at the Quai Branly, which is a museum of indigenous art and stuff.
Wow.
Right by the Eiffel Tower. And so we're in the 12th. Yeah. So we had to get 20 children on 2 different metros.
No.
Right? And they're 5 years old, 4, 5, some of them are 3.
Gosh.
And I'm there and you get 3 kids each. I love it. I think it's great. Also, I love just being involved
it's so cool.
in my kids' life as well.
Too.
And so you're holding by the hand and you walk and they're like, lights green, everyone powers across the street. It's kind of panic inducing. And then the metro. Oh my gosh! I got on
5-year-olds in and off the metro.
Some of them are 3. I had a 3-year-old with me the other day, and I everyone bundled in, and a lot of the adults don't care. Yeah. They don't care that the passengers on the train are terrible. But I threw them all in, and then the doors closed, and 2 of my kids, I couldn't see them, and they just jumped straight onto a seat, and someone was standing in front, and I almost died. I almost died. I was just it was only for about 0.5 a second, but I was like, you're there, whoa, and the doors closed, and then I saw them. But Probably shouldn't have admitted that to. In case their moms and dads are listening. No, but it was. I knew.
No,
I
mean they were fine.
Yeah, I think so. One of them was there. So
I went on the sortie, the field trip to Marseille with. I was 5-year-olds at the time.
Okay.
They take us on a bus and they go down to the museum in Marseille, which is super cool if you get down to Marseille. But the kids, they were crossing all these busy streets in Marseille. And these are like country.
Yeah.
Like, they're not used to this. So the kids it's like they just panic and pause in the middle of the street, you know? And you're like, come on. And then everything has to be in French because most of probably like you, my kids, almost all the kids are French at the school. Yeah. And so you're panicked, but then you have to remember how to yell certain things in French.
I sometimes do English.
I'm
like, I feel they should learn English anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
I was taking it the other day and I was going, let's go.
Yeah,
and they started going, yeah, it's true. But like things like that, and I was just saying, I was like, this is how we say this in English because if I'm just screaming at you, my French is totally fine. But I was like, why should they not learn my language as well, you know?
It's actually kind of true because what I worry about though is they don't understand a word I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like they actually.
Are you speaking English with them or because of your accent?
Because I'm speaking English with them. Oh, and probably my French. The native French children look at me like.
That kids age they probably start at my 4 or 5. They just think I'm a bit weird.
Oh, okay. They don't notice just an accent, or they just think.
I guess
weird?
I got enough of an accent, but I definitely would make a mistake that they'd be like, "Why is an adult making a mistake? That's weird." So I speak Swedish as well, and in Sweden, I had some family cousins on my wife's side, who just were like, "Why does all of us speak so weird?" And I was like, "Yeah." They were just so flummoxed by it. And I was like, it's not weird. Firstly, it's an accent. I have one when I speak English too, thank you very much. Yeah. And secondly, speak English. Yeah. But I don't know.
Well, of course. I loved you did an episode with your children.
Yeah.
And I completely resonated with me because my kids constantly correct me on how I say merci, bonjour. Like they're like, why are you this big R at the end? And I'm like, well, there's an R, you know?
That'll just get worse as well, I think, with time. What did you say your kids are 5 and 9? Is that what you said?
Yeah, 6, 7 now.
7 and 9, yeah. That's just going to get probably worse, right?
Totally. But because if you think about it, our children will not have an accent at all and don't currently in French. So when they speak French, they are native because, I don't know if you knew this, but you can actually learn, if you learn a language before the age of 10, your tongue hasn't fully developed. And so you can learn almost any language before the age of 10 without an accent. Yeah. And so it's brilliant. But for us, learning languages as adults.
That's oldies.
Yeah, it's oldies. We're always going to have these accents.
Yeah. But I don't care. I think I think that people have too much focus. I admit, like, an American accent saying, like, bonjour is too much, maybe. But an accent is who you are. So I think you don't need to fight to lose an accent. People who try and be too French, so it's almost unnoticeable. I'm like, why are you, like, that's your identity as well if you're American or Australian or whatever.
Interesting.
Like, why not lose your American accent when you speak English too then? If you want to be all neutral.
Well, I think people try to.
Do they? Yeah. Okay, well, it shows what I know.
But you know what I find interesting? Like, okay, I learned Spanish for a long time, almost 20 years. I lived in Spain. And the Spaniards would never even really comment if you had an accent or notice. And it's much more forgiving. French is not forgiving. Like, I notice more that the French are like, je comprends pas. Like, then that means I don't understand what you said. Then to like, because of the accent. Like,
I got a theory on that. I think it's because French is a very popular language. Spanish is too, but French people really think you should be speaking French.
Like perfectly without.
No, but I think it's like they definitely don't think that they should be speaking English.
No, definitely not.
Whereas in Spain, were you in Spain?
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Southern Spain.
Yeah, so even better. It's like Provence plus France.
For sure.
Is they're grateful maybe that you're making an effort. Same with in Sweden. Like if you speak Swedish, they're like, wow, that's cool that you can do it. Like we don't necessarily need to switch to English. So maybe, and here they're like, you should be speaking French. I don't understand your effort. Which I get too. It's like it's a big language and they don't speak English so well here. No. Way better than when I moved here. Definitely.
You can notice that
100%. Yep. It's a lot of it is TV and internet.
But don't they still dub?
Yeah, but like if you want to watch Game of Thrones when it comes out, especially if you stream it illegally, I don't know why I went to Game of Thrones. I think that's a big part of it. The internet too, video games, young people speak. I would bet all my money in my wallet on it.
Do you
I don't know what that
notice
is.
a difference between, so you just bought a house
Yep.
near Provence,
Yep.
right?
L'Île-sur-le-Saut, yeah.
And do you notice a difference in how much English is spoken there versus?
No one's ever switched to English for their own convenience down there for me.
Yeah, no one's done. I mean, that never happens in Provence.
But maybe it happened once or something, and I just was like, I'll just speak French with you. So I'm fine. My French is absolutely
Your French
fine.
It's really good.
Yeah. But so so if someone switches to English, now I might be like, oh, you want to practice? Like, that's cool.
I'll happy. Say that?
Yeah, like if that's true. I had the guy that drove me in the Uber down there, and he was like, we spoke French for a while, and then he just said something in English. I was like, oh, your English sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I've been watching lots of TV trying to improve. I was like, if you want to speak English, that's cool. Like, I'm happy to do it. But down there, I think you're way less likely to get by asking people if they speak English.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Than up here.
Yeah.
Especially the people you meet in Paris, they see tourists all the time.
For sure.
If you want to improve your French, I said this from the beginning, you go anywhere else in France than Paris.
Yeah, I said the same thing when we were talking about moving to France. I said, I don't think we're going to learn French if we move to Paris.
And as a visitor here, the worst thing you can do is go on the Champs-Élysées to a busy cafe.
Yeah.
And when the waiter comes over to be like, je voudrais. And they're just like, I speak English. And this gets into a whole different thing. A lot of people think that French people are rude.
Yeah.
And I'm convinced it's a big misunderstanding.
Oh, same.
Especially because of that.
Yeah.
So the French guy who's got 80 tables that he's working on doesn't have time to hear that.
No.
And so he'll be like, tell me what you want and I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
And when you're even if you're a French person at a cafe, it's very rare that you would say bonjour, ça va, or and start chatting.
Yeah.
Unless you want to stand out.
Yeah.
So typically, I have dinner or drinks with French friends sometimes. They can be very, almost seemingly rude with a waiter and just get it done.
So true.
And the waiter's grateful and they get on with it. So if you want to practice your French by coming here, don't go to the busy restaurant and go to maybe even Aix-en-Provence. It's too big. Go to the smallest town you can find. And then find a problem to solve. And that problem could be, I want to get a pain au chocolat.
Yeah.
And the solution is you get one.
Yeah.
So you give yourself a task, a manageable, tangible task.
Oh, that's good advice.
And if you're better than that already, maybe the problem is finding the church.
Yeah.
Or if you're better than that, is fixing your car or whatever.
Yeah.
And I did that here too as well. That's how I learned. I basically ended up teaching through, like, what's the word where you get it from, you know what I mean? Like you go to the shop and you acquired it naturally, basically.
Oh, you just through conversation of
basically, yeah. I did some classes at the start and I was like, this is not for me. I hated
French naturally?
No, well, I studied it too, but when I did my last lesson, I was useless for sure. And then I say to people, if you need to get a plumber in who doesn't speak English, you have to, that thing has to be fixed. The leak has to be fixed.
Yeah, for sure.
So by the time the plumber comes again, you know how to talk to a plumber.
That's true.
Plumber's one example, but it could be anything.
Yeah.
It could be anything. It could be getting the right croissant, let's say. Or you want the one on the left, you know, and you've got to be able to do it. So if you just keep, and that leads all the way up to the hardest of hardest, which is, I don't know, having your wife giving birth, like the admin that goes with that, or buying a house, even worse. Well, admin-wise, I mean,
Admin-wise.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. So like or solving the problem of the guy that rings with a delivery.
Oh.
You can only screw that up so many times before you have to learn. Yeah, otherwise you don't get your deliveries.
It's so true. But you know what I do? Do you do this? I research it, like Google Translate it, what I want to say. And then I just memorize a few statements.
Yeah,
That's how I started.
I did that at the start. I remember looking up the words for like bank statement before, as I was walking to the bank, if I need a statement and being like, okay, and then go in and say,
I did that all the time.
Yeah, but now there's a level of language learning that like a threshold where when you don't know a word, you can ask for it.
Yeah, it's true, because you can describe
like,
what
blah, 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 c'est quoi le mot pour ça? J'ai pas compris ce mot-là. Yeah, and then you're talking French. That's fluency for me. A1, C1, who cares?
I was going to ask
who cares?
Do you do these like...
How stupid. What level is your French? C2, okay. What does that mean?
I said that last night to the French woman who I met.
Yeah.
So team, and I said, je parle français, mais juste peut-être deux. And she was like,
yeah, French. She would care even less than I do. Yeah.
But to me, so for those of you listening, there's a system.
Yeah.
And I guess it's the same in English. I didn't know that. For a French person to learn English, I learned So there you start at A1, which is like beginner. Then A2 is like kind of advanced beginner, B1, B2.
What's with the scores? It's like a tennis match or something. It doesn't. Why not A1, A2, A3, A4? What? Hang on. Why do we need an A?
And why do they switch? Like, why is it only 2 and then you go to the next letter?
And then it's advantage C, and then it's deuce, and then you get to.
Did you know that after C2?
Yeah.
So that's it. Like you're considered fluent.
Yeah, I disagree. As in, I disagree with that whole system.
You do?
No, I get it, and I get that's how you learn it officially, and it's probably great. But in terms of like saying your qualification, like if I was to interview someone that wanted to work with me, and I said, "Do you speak French?"
Yeah.
If they said I'm C2 or that sounds great. But if they said I'm B1, really I was like, okay, well let's just have a conversation in French and really see what, because it's just. It's numbers and letters. It's like talking about Instagram following or something. How many Instagram followers you have? 30,000 followers. Okay, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
Nothing means these numbers. There's too many.
There's too many
numbers.
You're not into it.
No, I'm not interested.
Okay. But I did want to tell you, C2, by the way, is if you know all of the slang and they're like expressions for things.
Yeah.
But that's interesting because I am not at that level.
I don't know.
You know, and so then I'm like, all right, is that fluent? Like where?
But what if you know it all? You know everything.
Yeah.
And then someone comes up to you. This happened to me when I was in Australia learning French.
Okay.
And I thought I spoke pretty good French. Yeah. And then the professor, who must have thought he was pretty cool because he was a bit older, but he came up to me and said, "Quoi de neuf?" which is like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
Your professor probably wouldn't say that to a student usually, but he was Australian too. Okay. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And this is after studying French for years. Wow. Also, another thing, when I was learning Swedish, I'd learned it for ages. Yeah. And then some guy came up to me and said, "Tjena," which is like saying, "What's up?" And I'd been doing it for months. I'd never heard that before because they teach you by the book. And I was like, how can I not know the first word someone says to me on the street? That's crazy. And maybe I was A1 at that level. You know what I mean?
You just want to name your
I just wanted to do it.
Yeah, okay. But you're probably A2 if you were early.
I think, I have no idea. I bet in Swedish I'm C2. And I bet in French I'm C1 or something.
I bet you are.
I don't even know. But who cares?
It's just unnecessary numbers.
It's almost opening yourself up to be proven wrong. You're like, I'm C2. And someone goes, "Do you know the slang word for saucepan?" And you're like, "No." "Oh, you're a C1.
Wait, have you seen what the exams are for B1, B2?
No, but I think I did. I got one of them. I think I got B1 10 years ago.
Oh, so you're like really far.
I don't even. I'll tell you this. I can play basketball with French guys and speak slang with them.
You can?
To sports slang.
Okay, well, that's pretty cool.
C2?
I'm going to go with C2 now.
But I get thrown words in. This is true. My son brought a book home from school. Yeah. And it was, I don't know what it's called in English, but I assume it's called the checkered elephant or something. Okay. It's an elephant with like tartan on him or patchwork or something like that. You get the concept, right? He was different, multicolored elephant. And the title in French had the French word for whatever that is, checkered or tartan or something.
There's a word for that.
And I looked at that word, and obviously by context I understood it and I could pronounce it, but I'd never seen that word before. Yeah. So that's a book that the 4-year-olds were reading, and I didn't know the title. So I can do slang with basketball guys, but I didn't know that word.
Yeah, but
someone put a comment somewhere. Tell us what that word is.
Somebody help us with the checkered.
But even I still forgot it anyway, so who cares?
Well, this is what my husband says this to me all the time. He's like, "Why are you learning book French that you're never going to use?"
I agree with your husband.
You know, And he's like, so he's like you. He gave up on he's like, I'm not going to sit through some book learning. So he hired like a 20-year-old to teach him all the slang.
He knows what he's doing, that guy.
I think you guys would be
friends. Yeah, but I remember when I did the French classes here, they spent ages teaching us the subjunctive mood or tense or whatever it is.
Do you ever use that?
That's my point.
Yeah.
I can do it and I can understand it. Yeah. And do you know how often I use it?
Never.
Almost never.
Do you know I don't even know it?
There you go.
And do you know what else I don't know? Anything that's written French that's not oral. So there's entire tenses that are only in written French. I just said forget about it.
I got another example. There's one that I remember for a week. They taught us that you could start a sentence with saying après avoir, which is like after having met my wife.
Yeah, who does that?
I'm married or whatever, right? And I remember like taking it all in.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it since.
I don't think people would say. Do they say that?
Maybe not in my world.
Yeah, it's been so and so.
That's what my point is. So I wish they'd taught me plumbing on that week.
Oh, that's so true.
You know, like
no, it's so true.
Street French.
Street French.
Give me street French.
Maybe that's what you should do.
Stop trying to tell me these other ideas before we started recording. She's like, you should do this. You should do this. No, I was asking. I exaggerated. Sorry.
All right. We're gonna do 2 more questions.
Please, yeah.
Okay. So you laughed at this question. I had this written. I sent this to him ahead of time, and he was like, "What's that question?" So I said, "What do you think people get wrong about life in Paris?"
Oh yeah.
And you liked it, and you laughed at it. So I was guessing you had an answer.
It made me laugh because I was like, who am I to tell anyone how to live life ever?
No.
And I can't, and I don't want to, but
you had an opinion.
But I had an opinion on what people get wrong about visiting.
Yeah, visiting.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't want to ever, on my podcast or here or anytime ever, tell people how to live. I think do your own thing. Yeah. Like, don't listen to me.
Yeah.
This hunker jungle. But how to visit, I know a lot about it because I tell people what to do all the time and I hear their feedback. So I know I've got my finger on that pulse.
All right, let's share.
And we talked about one thing already is leaving space.
Yes.
Leave space for sure. I think checklists are a bad idea too.
Yeah, I agree.
I meet a lot of people who plan out every second. It's kind of leaning into the same thing. The most interesting things that happened to me in the city, we talked about Crocodile Lady. That's a weird example, but another really cool example is I was walking down Rue de Beaune, I think it's called, in the 6th or 7th. And I just saw a shop selling antique walking sticks, canes.
Oh, cool.
Had no idea that was there. Didn't even know I was interested in them. And I just, there was a doorbell because they're antiques. It's like an antique street. Yeah. Went in and met the lady, really lovely lady. And she started showing me these canes. And there's, funny that we're talking about this, but there's 2 types of canes. It's there's ornamental canes. It might have a carved ivory head on it.
The head,
And then there's gadget canes, which might be a pistol that's inside them, right? Okay. And I was like, those gadget canes are amazing. And they're from 100, 150 years ago. And she showed me 20 of them. Wow. And she was like, look at this. And it was...
Are you going to buy one of these? They
were like €1,000 each. There was no way. No. But I was just having a very authentic experience. Okay. She knew I wasn't going to buy one, I think. But I went back again later. That could be the story. That was... If you planned all your minutes in the city, you would never have that story. And you might end up going to all these restaurants and things you don't like.
Yeah.
Stupid.
That were on some list.
Some lame list. I was in Rome recently with my wife. This isn't at all a sledge on my wife, but we went to a brunch spot and we're sitting there. And I was like, why are we here? And she goes, that was recommended on TikTok. And I go, oh, by who? Or maybe I said, by whom? Correctly.
That would have been correct.
Yeah. And she said, I can't remember. I don't know. I don't think I knew them. And I was like, that's, like I said, not a sledge on my wife. How bizarre that we went to some random persons. We don't know what they like to eat. We don't know they probably just did nice footage. Yeah. And we took that advice and it wasn't even very good.
It wasn't even
so good. If you write down that from someone who you don't even know, which is a difference to if people listen to my show and they know the kind of things I talk about, I think there's a bit of a difference. But if you just go based on some TikTok video to some place, what?
Do you know how many people though? And I'm so guilty of this. I'm like your wife.
Yeah.
I'll read lists and then I cross-check them with other lists, but then I always buy out a person. That's my thing.
What do you mean?
Like if it's a blog post, I read about that person.
Well, so you did way more research than we did.
but that's not for everything. I mean, those are for bigger things. Yeah. But for restaurants, I'll let's say we're going to a new city outside of Provence. I do a little bit of research, but I end up at something on a list.
And you end up maybe in a place you don't like.
And I would say that's definitely fair.
Whereas maybe the restaurant next door
could have been
that's never been on any list.
It's so true.
It could have the interesting French lady that you talk to, or they could sell awesome canes or whatever. But you will have, in terms of authenticity, you go back and you've gone to the same restaurant that's on everyone's list. Yeah. How lame is that?
It's so true.
Like you go back to wherever you live in Florida and go, where did you eat? Oh, I went to this cute little cafe called this. Oh, yeah, I went there. Yeah, so did I. What? So the difference, because I assume it'd be easy to listen to me talk and say, all of you used to do the exact same thing. But often I will go and interview a chef. Okay. And I'll say, what's your story? What are you doing? Oh, you're doing this. Cool. Where's the best place to sit? What other restaurants do you like? So you don't take my advice on anything ever. Who am I?
I'll be like...
No, but I mean, you let it influence you a little bit. Maybe we'll make your own choice. But that, people go into some restaurants, they seek out the chef. They say, I heard you on the Earful Tower. Yeah. And the chef loves that too.
That's so cool.
And then they feel that they know a chef in Paris. Totally. How cool is that?
That's very
compared to a 15-second beautiful reel that someone's made that doesn't. And hey, I make those reels sometimes as well. So I get it. But Gosh,
That's a really good advice, though.
I think
People
so.
don't do that.
Yeah, the city is, there's thousands of restaurants and bars. You have endless choice.
Yeah.
Don't let some rando who maybe got the free dinner as well.
Oh, you never know.
Yeah, they won't tell you.
They're not going to tell you.
Yeah, so like make your own experience, because this city is so deep with options on everything.
that.
Not just
That's
restaurants,
really cool.
cafes, everything. Museums.
Yeah.
Go to the museum that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
What's the worst that happens? You go in, you pay $10 and go, whoa, not for me.
Yeah.
That's the worst that happens. And you leave after 4 minutes.
Yeah, you're so
And what's the best that happens?
Yeah.
You have an empty museum to yourself.
Yeah.
And who cares? You don't even tell anyone about it. You
It's
just
so
go, what a
true.
cool experience that was.
So your advice would be, don't read the list.
Unless it's my list.
Sorry.
No.
Unless you're listening to the Earful Tower
Yeah,
for
yeah.
our listeners. Otherwise, don't read anything else.
I mean,
But
you get an
totally, I
idea if
get
you
it.
want, but like where we are now, I don't know if you want to say where we are. We're in the 11th.
So we're in the
district.
11th, yeah.
I bet you I would put my whole reputation on within 5-minute radius of where we are, that there are 50 cool places.
Absolutely.
And I don't know
Okay, even
48
on
of them.
this street.
Yeah, for sure. Which one's this one? Oh, yeah.
I walked down it in between when I was literally looking for something just to grab quick for lunch. I'm like, there are about...
And that goes all the way down.
Options.
Yeah, Sharon, you mean,
Yeah,
right? All the way down. I know that end of it. This end, I don't know.
I don't
Except
know
for
that end
Tapisserie,
either.
which I love. So yeah, I know I live not far away, but
Yeah.
there's new places opening all the time
So cool.
that haven't been on anyone's list yet.
So true.
Find those places. How
you're
cool
so
is that when you go back and someone says, I keep using America, you go back to Sydney,
Yeah.
and someone says, what do you think of the Mona Lisa? You go, Mona Lisa, yeah, that's cool, but let me tell you about this. Oh, I haven't heard about that.
It's so true.
I found it myself. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, and you know what?
Yeah.
Then they'll tell someone, and then pretty soon everyone will be standing outside there trying to Instagram.
And then by the time you come back as the original, the OG, you go
So
find
true.
somewhere else.
No, you're right. And then
Yeah,
you gotta
or
start
get a
over
free
again.
coffee as thanks from the guy. No, but the point is there's lots of things to do here. And my ultimate tip is seek it out.
Love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, I think that's a good place to end for us today.
Cool.
You were a lovely guest. So
You were a
happy to
lovely
have
host,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. And definitely we'll put all these information in the show notes, and take a listen to the Earful Tower as well if you haven't heard it.
Thank you so much for having me, and maybe we'll cross paths in Provence.
Oh, I would love that. Now that you are kind of a
Neighbors, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, love that.